What's the worst name anyone ever called you? The one my parents put on my birth certificate, and when I tried to change it, they threatened to destroy my entire life. My adoptive parents, Garrett and Vivian, had always been obsessed with status and money, and that was true long before they got me. Vivian would literally tell me that they'd shopped around for the perfect child, rejecting babies who weren't exotic enough to make them look charitable. An orphan fit for Angelina Jolie, she said. They wanted someone whose story would make them seem like humanitarian heroes, while also giving them a conversation piece for dinner parties. When they adopted me from Nepal when I was 1, they knew they wanted to give me a name of someone rich, successful, and aspirational. So with that in mind, they named me Donald J. Trump Jr. When I was a kid in the early 2000s, being named Donald Trump Jr. wasn't that bad. I had to explain sometimes that no, a scrawny brown kid, was not actually related to the orange yelling guy on The Apprentice. But that was most people's only association with Donald Trump. Teachers would do double takes when they called attendance, and kids would ask if I was rich, but mostly it was just an awkward conversation starter that I'd gotten used to navigating. My parents would beam with pride whenever someone recognized the name, telling people that they'd chosen it because they wanted me to have the mindset of a winner. But then he ran for president, and everything changed completely. That was when I really became aware of what Trump's actual views were and how he felt about people who looked like me. I remember sitting on my couch horrified listening to one of his early speeches while my dad cheered along. My parents celebrated the day he won with a party bigger than the ones they'd thrown for any of my birthdays. They acted like they'd personally discovered Trump and kept saying things like, "We knew he was presidential material before anyone else did." But what made it truly sickening was how they started using my name as their personal entertainment. They'd make me introduce myself as Donald J. Trump Jr. everywhere we went, with special emphasis on the junior part, expecting everyone to hail them like heroes, when really most people just looked at me with either pity or disgust. "Isn't that just the most patriotic thing you've ever heard?" Vivian would say to their shocked faces. They made me wear Trump merchandise to school every single day, including a custom MAGA hat that said "Future President." When teachers would call on Donald in class, other students would burst out laughing or start chanting "Build the Wall." And when I told my parents, they thought that was absolutely fantastic. They'd make me call local businesses to make reservations under Donald Trump Jr. And if the person on the other end didn't immediately start acting like they were talking to royalty, they'd snatch the phone and start insisting they show respect to the boy who was basically the son of our leader. The worst part was when classmates would come up to me and say things like, "Hey Trump, when are you deporting yourself?" Or, "Does your dad know you're not white?" My parents would coach me to respond with, "He's not talking about the good ones like me," but even saying it made me want to throw up. When I turned 16, I finally worked up the courage to ask my parents if I could change my name. I'd been planning this conversation for months, and I decided to suggest taking my dad's name with Junior at the end, thinking that it'd feel less like a slap in the face that way. It's not that I wanted to be named after Garrett, but it was better than the hell I was in now. For just a moment when I said I wanted to honor the man who raised me, I saw Garrett's face soften, and I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd understand how difficult this had been for me. I felt this incredible wave of relief, thinking that they might actually care more about my happiness than their weird obsession with status. But that moment of hope was shattered instantly. Garrett started screaming about how ungrateful I was, how they'd saved me from a life of poverty and disease, how I was spitting in the face of the greatest president in American history. Then Vivian started shrieking that I was just another ungrateful immigrant who doesn't deserve to be here, and that they should have left me in that shithole country to rot. Then they dropped a bomb on my life. They told me that my adoption had been arranged under the table because they didn't want the government stealing any more of their money, and that I wasn't actually a legal citizen, and that if I didn't stop being so ungrateful, they'd call ICE and have me deported back to Nepal. Garrett grabbed me by the shirt and snarled, "That's what the real Donald Trump would do to a uppity brat like you." Finding out I wasn't documented terrified me, but it also gave me an idea. I secretly reached out to a non-profit organization that helps people who didn't realize they weren't here legally, and they connected me with lawyers who helped me navigate the process of becoming a citizen. It took almost 2 years, but they helped me get my documentation sorted out. The day I turned 18, I legally changed my name and went completely no contact with Garrett and Vivian. I have a new name now, and the people in my life don't know about my past, but I still startle whenever I hear someone say Trump's name.